The biggest reason I wanted to kind of run with Docket was the GPS, like being able to see where my dumpsters are. The hardest thing that I found was where are my dumpsters. So my name is Hunter Bernard, and I'm the owner operator of RED-E-BINS of Tulsa. It's a franchise based out of Canada, actually. And so a little bit of my background, I didn't really have any business background when I first kind of started this business. I'm actually a physical therapy assistant. And so went to school to be a physical therapist assistant. I worked there for 6 years, kind of did all the COVID stuff. I wore the mask every day, day in and day out. And then ultimately, like I was the director of rehab, and I just I don't know, I kind of got tired of making money for everybody else. And I just kind of decided, hey, you know what, let's try to figure out something that I can do that doesn't really require me to learn an entire new skill. I mean, I already knew how to drive a truck and back a trailer and, operate some hydraulics. And I kind of like started getting the ball rolling in like October, maybe September of 23. And then I got all of my dumpsters and my trailer, I think like the Monday after Thanksgiving in 2023. So really, I just kind of started, like say December 1st of 23, just kind of first kicked off and just started, running dumpsters. Initially, when we first started, we didn't have a lot of online presence and stuff. It was really just, I had a place on the highway and drive by people, and they would just drive by, see my number and call me. And really for the first 6 or 8 months, that was where I got most of my business at. And then I kind of decided, hey, we've probably, caught everybody's attention out here. Let's try to catch everybody's attention online. And so we've kind of spread that direction as well. The biggest challenge was probably the number of, I guess, other companies in town, like competition wise. There's probably a number of probably 4-ish, maybe 5 big companies that offer those 30 and 40 yard dumpsters for those big projects. And that's kind of where I don't really compete with them because my dumpster sizes are 5 yard, 10 yard, and 15 yards. So I kind of just find the niche of like, hey, let's hang out in the residential stuff with the occasion of using a small contractor here and there. So, I mean, that would probably be the biggest one so far outside of just learning how to run a business. I mean, like I said, my background is in medicine. So I didn't take a single business class in college. I think the only one I might have taken was statistics, and that's just Excel. I mean, just plug everything in Excel and it works. The biggest reason I wanted to kind of run with Docket was the GPS, like being able to see where my dumpsters are. It's, just like anybody else, like running a business yourself, you have folks helping you on the back end with like the books and stuff like that. But ultimately it's you kind of working on the schedule and figuring out where you need to go and when you need to be there. But the hardest thing that I found was where are my dumpsters? Because I would have a hard time either like keeping up with people's addresses and stuff in Google Calendar or just writing them down and stuff. And ultimately that was where I wanted to use Docket and their GPS coordinates, because I can just go in there and like say it was dropped off and then put the address in and say, hey, we're good. And then I can look on the map and say, well, where are they? Because I might not have one. I'm like, well, okay, there's this one here and it's going to be picked up tomorrow or whatever. And then I can kind of go from there. So ultimately that's probably been the biggest deal. Before Docket, I would spend 15, 20, sometimes even an hour of just sitting at the dumpster lot, figuring out where they are. Like I have a note on my phone before I left it in there. I put on there, I say, where are my dumpsters? And then there would be times where I'm like, I don't know where they are. And it was a little frustrating because, you just have to, you're blaming yourself because ultimately that's what your issue is. And so now I don't have that issue. Knowing that I have Docket to help grow the business is going to be one of those things I think I mentioned before of us being able to kind of get into the territory. And once I do that, then I'm going to have employees, right? And so I can get those employees to, I guess clock in and clock out, if you will, and kind of use that same situation. Because I'm not going to be there. It's 2 hours away from where I currently am now, and so being able to hop on there and say, okay, well, here's where these dumpsters are, or making sure that those employees are coinciding with me, then we're going to be good. But I think, not having that is, would definitely be, I'd have to get it right. I mean, so I think running two businesses is going to be a big change. But that's the goal, is to just continue to grow. Have more money than you think you need. You can go out and buy your trailer, you can buy your dumpsters, you can buy your truck, but there's so many hidden fees essentially, right? That you don't think about. You've got tires, you've got brakes in your truck, you got brakes in your trailer, you got tires for the trailer, you got insurance for your truck, insurance for your trailer, general liability insurance, all those things. And I've had multiple, franchise. I guess the franchise owner would send a lot of guys who have questions like that. They would call me and say, "Hey, what would you do?" And I was like, "Listen, man, your capital needs to be way more than what you think it needs to be, because you have to make a living too." And so that would definitely be what I would say was just, if you're thinking you're going to start out with $100,000, you need, 150 or more. So that's where I've learned that things are not decreasing in cost. So, I mean, diesel fuel is always going to be the same price, and it's never going to go below that number that you think it's going to go below for. And that's where I'm at now. It's like, I don't drive a truck that's a half ton because one, safety reasons, and two, I just have the need for having the stopping power or the hauling power, if you will, because I mean those dumpsters get heavy quick. So it's possible. It's definitely possible to run with a half ton. But if you're on the highway a lot like me, I mean, pretty much 90% of my driving is highway driving, and so I feel like I've got to have that. So that's another thing. It's like that cost of that truck is going to be 25 grand more than what you're going to pay for just another smaller truck. So have more money than you think you need. Figure out, where you're going to go dump at, how many landfills there may or may not be in town, or figure out if those landfills, which one's cheapest, or which one's going to take this material versus this material. And then also, see what your competition looks like. I mean, really, that's going to be one of the biggest things that I probably didn't do the best of, was see how many other dumpster guys there are in town. And you've got the franchise owners like me, and then you've got the other guys, and then you also have the guys who have kind of went on their own and opened up their own deal that have grown it, right? And so those guys are doing great, but then you also have the weekend warriors, right? Those guys that buy a trailer and buy one dumpster, and they advertise prices that are $100 less than yours on Facebook, and you're like, it kind of gets a little frustrating because those guys are taking some business out of your pocket essentially. But I've learned that those guys come and go, and they'll always come and go. So that's just kind of where I'm like, it is what it is. And I'll just continue to provide a better product. So